Assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum salam. How are you, brother?
Doing good, man. I left study Islam. They were still going to live longer than usual. I mean,
Yeah, I
longer than an
was
hour.
I was on until the end of the hour. I guess she kept reading questions or something.
Yeah, and then people started asking questions, and again, you know,
No, that's good though.
yeah, it is. There was an interest in the topic, brother.
Exactly.
Especially get a
Because
room for the elderly people.
yeah, I'm hoping. I mean, I didn't know the names of, what all 160, 70 people that were on there, but I'm hoping there were some people in their 30s and 40s that are on there because that's a serious market for what he's talking about because those individuals are starting to hit their high income area where they're making money and not only planning for death, even though I know because I got two children, they don't think about
Uh,
dying,
what's
but
that?
you do start thinking about your money.
What's the hadith say about? It said frequent prayer and the remembrance of death, right?
Yeah, exactly.
And that's the part that the young people are deficient in.
Hmm.
Now, on the
Big
money
time.
part, huh? On the money
Big
part,
time.
we got to pry them away from TikTok and everywhere else, because they all up on that, man.
Yeah, the biggest thing is, I mean, I was taught this and it was a hard one lesson. I talked to my two boys about this and I think they get it, but they don't act on it, really act on it. Is when you're young, when you're in your 20s, 30s, and 40s, you're gonna spend some foolish money. That's just
Yeah.
what you're gonna do. But in anticipation of knowledge that you're gonna spend some foolish money, you got to set a certain amount up every month that you're gonna save, regardless of what else the foolish stuff that you do, that you're gonna put some money away. Period.
Right.
And that's the hardest thing to get through is do this one thing and it'll wipe out over time, it'll wipe out all or most of the silly stuff that you do.
Hopefully.
Oh,
Yes, sir.
yeah. And like I was telling my oldest son over holidays, man, put it on automatic. Well, you don't have to think about it. Well, you don't say, you know, I need some new Air Jordans, something like that, just where they take the money out every month.
Hmm.
Set up an account with Fidelity or somebody like that where they automatic draft out of your bank every month.
And what I tell them is to pay yourself first.
Right. That's what I was taught. Pay yourself first. They used to tell us 12%.
Hmm.
Take 12% of whatever your take home is and pay yourself.
Hmm.
And they used to do that calculator using compound interest. You do this, you start at 25, by the time you reach 50, you got X number of
Hmm.
dollars, right?
Hmm.
Whether you're
Hmm.
doing $100 a month or whatever it was. So, I don't know. But when you think you're gonna live forever, brother, it's hard to get that message through.
Yeah. And when you lack patience,
That too.
they can't even wait 2 months, much less 30 years.
I know. But if you, like they used to say, burn a hole in their pocket.
Yeah.
They get the itching, the itching all over. What they
Hmm.
gonna do with that money?
Hmm. And so you can imagine what my week it's been like.
Oh God, it's the start of it. I know it's crazy,
People want
right?
their refund.
Already. And the filing, you can't even file yet.
I
They want
can't
their
even send it
request.
in. But there's some preparers that will prepare your
Advance some
return
money. Will they
and give.
advance them money with interest? Do they charge them interest on those
They
advances
don't need to
or
charge
fee?
interest. Well, no, they don't charge interest. They
Okay.
just charge you a big fee,
Okay. Same thing.
which is worse than interest.
Worse than the interest.
And they can't see it. They can only
So,
see what they got.
so what is the standard filing fee these days? Because I know the Trump administration is trying to get rid of a lot of these free file electronic filing stuff. I mean, and maybe I'm confused about that. Maybe there are
Yeah,
only
yeah. That's
certain
not
ones
that.
of them that they're trying to get rid
It
of. But
ain't. It's not free to the preparers. What Trump and them are trying to do, they're trying to get rid of people going on filing their own.
mhm.
So who does that appeal to? But the preparer community, right?
Okay, okay.
Because I'm getting clients that are merging back over apologetically because I haven't seen them in 2 years. But they did TurboTax or whatever, they did their own taxes.
Hmm. Hmm.
And they thoroughly messed themselves up. So I tell them that's a good move because your preparer was a bum. So I don't know what the thinking is in the Trump administration of that whole thing. But I'm not sure what it is, but it's probably something along those lines, you know. Nothing at all. But yeah, it's crazy, brother. Already. I say,
Assalamu
oh no.
alaikum, Imam Hassan, Imam Omar.
I said, I'm making brothers.
Yeah, walaikum
Walaikum
salam.
assalam.
Now, this is Hassan, Tanzania, but I'm not an imam.
I'm just look, brother. I'm just throwing that out there because people throw it at me, and I tell them the same thing you just said. I said I am not an imam,
Yeah,
but they
I'm
still
Nila.
they still do it. So I'm,
I'm,
I'm starting to do it now. You have to forgive me.
I'm Nila.
So how's everybody this morning?
Alhamdulillah.
Alhamdulillah.
Oh man. So Adam, what I was asking is, what's the going rate or fee for filing an individual return these days? A simple individual return.
And I just like to tell you there is no going rate.
Huh. So it's whatever the market will bear.
Whatever well, not even the market, whatever the idiot would bear giving up. I
Because I've
mean,
heard numbers as high as $400.
it could be. I mean, I've had a lady, her husband came to me because they were tired of H&R Block, and they said H&R Block charged them $600 last year. And I said, I assure you, my fee wouldn't be $600.
Wow. Okay.
I could have cut H&R fee in half, and in terms of my rates, would have been overcharged. So I told her, I said, ma'am, as you're going out trying to get a referral, don't tell them what you paid last year.
Hmm.
'Cause I'm trying to keep myself straight. I could have said, yeah, what, 600? Mine is only 500. You know what I mean? But that would have been a lie. So, and it depends. I mean, and I've been told I need to charge more. Oh man, that's bad. But I just had now if someone comes in a W-2, single, state and federal, I'll charge them 175. And that's after I reflect the increase in my fee. You understand?
Yeah, that's fairly inexpensive, Adam.
Whatever, whatever. it's inexpensive, but that's because you got so many people gouging people. I look at the amount of clients I have, how long did it take me to do a return with a W-2, maybe two W-2s.
Hmm.
And I can crank that out in about 15, 20 minutes. You follow me?
Hmm.
And not just for the life of me. Maybe I'm old. I don't know. I can't charge these people $200 or $300 for that.
Okay.
That's why I guess that's why I'm
So let's say let's
go ahead.
put a little buffer in there and say 30 minutes of return. So you're basically, if you count that, you're working at $350 an hour at 175.
Okay.
What does the typical run of the mill CPA, how much would they charge, do you think? Or what's the typical hourly rate for a
I have
CPA?
see rates are not published by anybody.
But I mean, there's data banks out there that's got to have this information though. What most like they we know what most attorneys charge, just amalgamation of information people even put on their tax returns, or they're charging, they're deducting this for attorney's fees or this for accounting fees or whatever. There's information banks out there. I just wonder. I've never looked at it myself. There's got to be information out there though on what the typical CPA's going rates are. I mean, I know what I pay mine, and I get a headache
I'm gonna keep talking.
every time. Every time that because RSM does my corporate tax return, and I'm not a big company. I'm a small company.
Omar, I'm gonna end up and get a new client on this conversation.
I hear you, brother.
Corporate returns only because what's driving a lot of this is my software costs.
Hmm.
All right. So in the past, I had been buying the full blown corporate software, and I don't do as many corporate returns as I used to, but I do some. So in advance of buying the whole software, I just buy access to it, and I got what's called pay per return. Every time I prepare a corporate return or whatever, my software charged me X amount of dollars.
Hmm.
So I'll pay for state and federal. I'll pay the software costs about $187 in lieu of buying the whole program.
Okay.
And I might charge, it depends upon the shape of the information. The thing with corporate returns, you basically need an income statement and a balance sheet
Right.
because that's what's required on the return. So I might charge $650, $700 to do the return if the information is in decent shape. You follow me? But if I got to compile the financial statements and all this other stuff, that's a whole different thing. If I'm compiling monthly financial statements, then I charge a minimum of $150 a month to do those statements.
Mhm.
If you add payroll, that might be another $75. You
Okay.
follow every month.
Yeah, that's pretty much in line because I think even back when I first started out back in 2017 when I incorporated, we were using QuickBooks.
Yeah.
And yeah, when you start adding all that stuff up, you're paying QuickBooks that pretty much, pretty close.
Well, and everybody's changing the way they do what they do. I call it the big money grab.
Hmm.
So what I have is QuickBook Desktop, and I have access to it in my office so that I can hire two or three people to do the financial statement part of it.
Okay.
They're experts in, I mean, I know they're not experts. I train them on QuickBooks and show them how to do it. Now QuickBooks is trying to merge onto QuickBooks Online.
Right.
And most of my clients, they're not savvy enough to do that. But QuickBooks is trying to force everybody over there, which would mess with my core business. So I'm trying to see where they're going with it. And
Hmm.
I got to admit, I'm sort of like a little dinosaur. I've been around a long time, and at my age, I don't want to relearn different processes or change the way I do things.
Right.
So we'll see which way it goes
See.
in the future.
Yeah. All right. So we're at almost 27 minutes after the hour. Adam, will you open us up officially? And we'll
Yes.
talk about a little bit of stuff here.
أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين الرحمن الرحيم مالك يوم الدين إياك نعبد وإياك نستعين اهدنا الصراط المستقيم صراط الذين أنعمت عليهم غير المغضوب عليهم ولا الضالين آمين.
All right. So Ramadan starts about the middle of February. Am I correct on that? Somewhere around the 18th, 17th
Uh,
or 18th?
Pretty much, yes, sir.
Okay. All right. So that means that our webinars, our sessions will start after somewhere after, say, around March 21st, 22nd. Does that sound about right? I don't have a calendar in front of me, so I don't know the exact Tuesday or Wednesday, but I'm just thinking maybe that sounds about right. Okay.
Yes,
Okay. And you were saying, Omar, you were on Adam's program Thursday morning that we might have some promotional materials that we can start using maybe sometime this week.
yes, sir.
Okay.
Definitely.
Okay. Good, 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 good. So, okay, I mean, that's all because I think I have some avenues that I definitely want to try to use to make sure that we still want to limit the audience, right? So we will at some point in time we'll talk about how we want to set that up as far as people pre-registering and all that type of thing to limit the number of people. How,
Yes, that would be limited on the registration side. Once it reaches 25 people, they can't register for that particular date. They would have to move down the list.
okay.
And if all the 26, 2026 dates are filled, they would have to wait for the new schedule to be launched to sign up for 2027.
Okay. So, but these same people who miss out, and I'm hoping there's a bunch of them, they would be able to purchase, they'd still be able to purchase the workbook, and they would be able to, at some point in time, view the sessions, the current sessions that they missed, right? With the
Yes,
purchase of the
these will be
workbook.
recorded. Yes,
Hmm.
the sessions will be recorded and uploaded to the. And I'm still trying to figure that out, and I may need your help because I know that you are the keeper of like the posting it on YouTube. And we may need to, make that private just to have them to be able to come in and view the recorded sessions.
Right. We keep it private for a period of time.
That is correct.
Okay. Okay. Yeah, and that leads to another discussion that I know on my part I have not done a full investigation of how to move, all of our Graceline stuff into a separate, because I really want us to have a separate, clean Graceline account as opposed to, all of our Graceline information that's on YouTube being under my account. I mean, it says Graceline on it. Like if you go to YouTube, you can pull it up as Graceline, but to date, I mean, I'm the only person that has access to it, make it public, make it private, do clips, all of that type of thing. And we all know that's a troubling thing. If anything were to happen, then, I guess down the road, my children would be able to do something with it, to liberate it for use. But yeah, I still need to get on that and see how we need to set that up and then how we would transfer. Yeah. I mean, at least, or trying to think, I started using Zoom when COVID hit back 2020. So we're talking at least 5 years worth of stuff. All that needs to be transferred into, a folder that all of us on the board that would want access to it, have access to it.
Mm.
Because
That's what, yeah.
there's the videos, I mean, with audio, obviously, there's notes of meetings. I mean, all of this stuff, deliberations, and not all of this stuff is on YouTube, but some of it is just simply kept in a separate file. But there are conversations about changes to the logo and creation of the logo, creation of this document and that document, and all that. And I know all of us probably have bits and pieces of some of that information, but I mean, the only part of my life that I don't throw anything away is anything to do with business. I keep everything. So I mean that's why I'm buying extra space in the cloud all the time because I keep absolutely everything. And I would like to unburden myself of some of this stuff eventually. You know,
Well, I suggest we find out what's doable, what's not doable, and how, start working on that, because that's the longer out it gets, the worse it's going to be to do.
right? Exactly. Yeah. So I mean, I'll try to get. I can't see it being a difficult thing. I mean, I'm just going to ask uh, Alphabet, Google, whatever is how do you transfer, your YouTube creator studio, whatever stuff to a separate account, and hopefully it's a relatively easy process. And then we would just have to make sure that we set one up. And hopefully it's not one of those crazy licensing things where you have to pay a whole bunch of money to have multiple people to have access to. I'll see what I can find out. I've probably got a little time this afternoon to fiddle around with it. I wonder if your mom Talib's still over there answering questions.
It could be. There's a lot of interest in that.
Oh man. Yeah.
Could be.
I mean the stuff that he talks about though, I mean it's my, our age, except for Omar, who is he's a babe in the spring compared to most of us. I see so much of this stuff going on in with family members and past family members and all of that. I mean, it's happening in real time where people don't have wills, people don't have powers of attorney for this or that. And it's a mess. I have an ex-brother-in-law in Mississippi who just was moved into hospice this week.
Mm.
And he owns property. He owns 5 vehicles, one of which he just bought like 3 months ago. 70 years old, doesn't have a will, no advance directives, healthcare, power of attorney, finances, absolutely nothing. He has nothing. And I mean, people give me varying information about what hospice means. I have no idea because I had an uncle that was in hospice for 13 months. Could be next week, could be a year from now. But in conversation with my ex-wife and her conversations with him, he doesn't care. That it's going to be a mess when he dies.
Hmm.
At least it seems like the people that were on the call this morning and study out Islam, they do care, even though maybe some of them hadn't done certain steps. And in there's so much misinformation that I've heard
Hmm.
in our religion about what you can and cannot do.
Hmm.
That is a young a woman sister on that term. You probably heard the question. She uh, she asked the question: is there anything in the Quran that says you can't be what's that? What's that when they put you in the furnace deal? What's that deal? What's that called?
Cremated.
Cremated.
Cremated. Yeah. She asked, is there anything in the Quran that says you can't be cremated? There's nothing in the Quran that says you cannot be cremated.
Well, that information is out there, so maybe it's from the Sunnah.
Speak law. Well, I mean,
Something the prophet said.
would they
I don't
have?
know.
I've never heard that in Hadith. I've never heard it mentioned or talked about.
But I mean, there's a lot of hadith that I doubt if you heard all the hadith, but there were.
Oh no, I mean I haven't. I mean, we're directed or have been directed to certain hadith as being authentic. There's another word for it. There's an Arabic word for it I can't think of right now. Omar, you might be able to help us out what that word is about, certain hadiths being sound and all this kind of stuff.
But
Because there's
but even that is not exact.
true.
And I'm doing that online all the time. I mean, people, the ulamas, they're on Facebook and Instagram, the ulamas,
Hmm.
at least in their mind anyway.
Right.
And they'll
Right.
come up with all this stuff. There's a big debate on, let's say, Mamdani taking his oath on the Quran. There's a big debate on that. That's un-Islamic. And the person that's promoting that, I've known them over the years to be knowledgeable of the Quran, you know. And I disagreed with him. I said, "Would you prefer you take it on the Bible or what? What's the deal?" But to me, they're over thinking it, and I guess for some reason they're against uh, Mamdani.
Mhm. Well, he's probably for some people he's not liberal enough. For others, he's too liberal. Whatever, you know.
Whatever.
His wife doesn't fully cover her face to the point that she has to be led down the sidewalk because she can't see or something, you know, or she leaves the house on her own. You're not going to satisfy all these people. But when we're talking about finances, like somebody on our in our meeting last week referenced, was it? I'm thinking it was our meeting. It could have been another program. It may have been uh, uh, Saturday morning's program, Making in the Land of Plenty. Somebody
Oh, okay.
referenced that you can't leave assets in your will or otherwise to your children if your children are not listed.
Well, they'd have to point that in the Quran that
So
because
what
I
was
don't
the
see.
justification of that? I mean, I'm not understanding that one.
I'm not either,
Well,
brother. That's what I'm hoping that Brother Adam can shed some, Imam Adam
I
can
can't.
share some light on that for us.
Again, they went to school with the ulamas. That's all I can.
Okay, is who's worse, the
I mean, what
ulama or
if, I
the
mean,
Salafis?
what
I'm
if you had children when you were not Muslim and you converted and accepted Islam later in life, but you still those children are still your children, regardless
Yes,
if they're
right.
Muslim or not, and you have by Quranic law, you are responsible for ensuring that whatever inheritance you leave, a certain percentage is left to
I
them.
agree.
Your
I agree with
mother
you.
may not be Muslim, and
That's
she
right.
is I mean, that there's an obligation that she receives
Right.
a portion of inheritance. So this doesn't, I mean, this doesn't jive with me. It doesn't make sense. It goes against the Quran. I, you know, I
Right.
people just love to say stuff and it just doesn't make sense a lot of times.
That's
I
how they get.
agree. I agree with you, Omar.
There has to be a logic to it. You know what I mean? And following logic would be in advance that once you become Muslim, your family isn't your family anymore, right? Now,
E-
if that was said
Except for
in the
blood
Quran,
ties. The
huh?
Quran
Yeah,
says something about blood ties, though. The Quran says something about blood ties.
it does. No, I'm saying to come to that conclusion they came to, the
Hmm.
Quran would first have to
Yeah, you're right. Right.
cut ties with your family once you become Muslim,
Right.
right? Allah
Right.
says in the Quran, when he talks about your family who has not accepted Islam, he said, if your parents enjoining you to go against what Allah has given you, it says, obey them not, but still keep good company with them, right? So that would be
Correct.
one place that proves that because you become a Muslim and your parents don't, then that would cut those ties, and that's not happening. So, but again, and I find it interesting. The same people that come up with that are still beating us up because we won't condemn and talk bad about the Honorable Elijah Muhammad. You follow?
I do. I know.
And They beat Imam Muhammad up because he was the son of it on the Muhammad,
Mhm.
irregardless of what he did to bring us over to the University of Islam. So I just consider the source. But you got that, brother.
Yeah, so Imam Talib has his hands full
Yeah, he did. Yeah.
with all of that, and especially dealing with our community. But I will say this: I have been encouraged by the open-mindedness of people in our community. There is a real thirst for knowledge, I think, and getting a lot of this stuff, the area that we in Graceline touch on primarily, which is around, finances and different things like that, that particular leg of community building. There's a great open-mindedness, I think, to better methods, better systems, and a better understanding of what is Islamic, what you can do, and not all these negatives that people throw up that I think actually keep people in a very small box. I listen when I'm listening to your program, Adam, when I am on listening to what Brother Omar is doing on Wednesday mornings and the questions and responses that people uh, are coming up with. It's like, lights have been switched on.
Hmm.
I mean, I listen to some of the questions and I'm like, oh, wow. So that other thing that they're mentioning was significant enough that it stuck in their head that, yeah, I am encouraged, and that gives me hope that the programs, the sessions that we're going to have will also help move that along. And the mere fact, and Omar can comment a little bit on this, the mere fact that the southern section, that the imams in the southern section were open enough to have, Omar's input in some of the meetings that they had, and that they seemed to be kind of taking, some of that very seriously and looking at their communities. That's also very encouraging. That's that. I mean, I wish we were doing more of that in the Southwest section.
Yeah, brother Edward, I think the conveners are looking at that as a model, and they do want to replicate that across all of the sessions that make up uh the not only the Mid-Atlantic, but the Southern, Western and other sections that make up the conveners footprint. But I know that
Hmm.
they do desire to lift this up as a model to start
Okay.
having these serious conversations around. And the key question that kind of underpins all of the work is this question around, is your community thriving, surviving, or dying? And they pose that question because it gets your attention. It immediately gets your attention. And we do have a few, communities that say that their community is dying.
Hmm.
So then, the natural kind of progression of a series of subsequent questions is, why do you feel that way, and what can be done to change that perspective, that perception?
Hmm.
So Inshallah, the conveners will begin to lift that model up across the United States and the sections that make it up. But though the imams that run those, or I shouldn't say run, that manage these sections, they also have responsibility to trickle that down to their communities, right? Or the masjids that they should be communicating with. So it's a shared responsibility.
Hmm.
So I don't know if that's making its way, into the Texas, communities or not. But and I don't know who's the convener for for that state.
It's
But
Imam Shaker, Omar
okay.
Shaker out of San Antonio.
Omar Shacker.
Hmm.
Okay, then he's really good. I find him
Yeah, he
very
is.
receptive to things. So yeah, I would just start having those conversations with him about the need to have that model that the Mid Atlantic kind of went about doing for their masjids and starting to do it in the Southwest.
Hmm.
Yeah, I think he'll be highly receptive to that suggestion.
Yeah, and I just want to apologize. I did misspeak. It was the Mid-Atlantic section that Omar spoke with, or met with, not the Southern section. So it was Mid-Atlantic that you spoke of on your program. So yeah, that I mean, I was encouraged by that whole conversation and what came out of that, and it kind of reminded me of what Imam Adam had revealed to us 2 or 3 years ago, and it's been repeated of some of the steps that they took in Fayetteville to ensure the continuity of their masjid, changes to their charter, things like that, bylaws, and things of just to make sure that they had a path that they could see their way forward to making sure that they were going to continue to follow, certain types of teaching, certain types of actions for the health and growth of their community. And, I remember, Omar, you spoke to something where you were saying that certain bylaws in a community could actually be the entry point for people to come in and destroy that community or lead that community down a different path, and why it's very important to make sure that you get that part of it correct.
That is correct. And not only I'm not, and I'm not suggesting in any way suggesting that we get rid of bylaws. I think bylaws have their place. They are important, providing structure for decision making. I think bylaws are an important document. However, when it comes to our assets that we have, our buildings, properties, financing, we need to look for other protective vehicles to protect those assets. Because if only our bylaws is protecting that, um, and we have a board that manages that process, then people can come onto that board and take over the board,
Hmm.
and be able to dispose of the property in ways that they desire, right? So we have to be very, very careful and thoughtful about how we go about protecting assets. And that means in many cases, we have to bring a legal mind to the table to be able to help us navigate that from a legal standpoint. Do we put this in a trust? And I have heard, thinking about this and having several conversations, a lot of people are suggesting that trust may be a better vehicle to be able to protect assets.
Now,
Uh,
Omar, what are they basing that on?
so I think it's just like I said, we need legal representation to come
Okay.
in and give us legal guidance, right? But I think in some of the conversations that I am hearing,
Uh,
trust are being lifted up in those conversations as a vehicle. I'm not, in any way promoting that. I'm just saying that these are just some conversations that are having. We still need, and I even remind our community when we're talking about these kind of things, we need legal representation to come in and give us legal guidance on how to structure this and ensure that what we are talking about and what we put in place that is legally sound for the state that we're in.
And I'm
Right.
asking that because this word trust is being thrown around everywhere in terms of personal stuff, nonprofit stuff. You understand? And it's been promoted by people that are not experts on trust.
I agree with you 100%. And I think it all
So
comes from social media.
when you come up with this idea, and you hear it everywhere. I go to YouTube, trust. I go to Instagram, trust. You understand? And my first thought is, I don't trust you. You follow me? Let me tell you
Yeah, I
what
hear
we
you.
did. Let me tell you what we did in Fayetteville. And I still say, and I said it the other day, Allah blessed us and protected us. Because we don't have no lawyers in our mess yet, right? We just had people that were trying to do the right thing. So we were challenged with our corporation, and when we formed the corporation back in the 80s, end of the 80s, the land was owned. The land was in the name of four individuals who were probably honest people, but the land was in their name. So when it came to the state talking about doing a right of way purchase for our acre and a half of land in a small building, and we had a lawyer, good friend of mine, and I had him look at it. The first thing he said was, "You need to get the land out of those individuals' names, because if they set it up, that's their money, and we had to rely upon them to do the right thing to turn the money over. And I just wasn't trusting $100,000 being given to four individuals, and trusting that all four of them would do the right thing. Not saying they wasn't good Muslims; they might have been excellent $5 Muslims, but they were. I wasn't going to trust that they would be excellent $100,000 Muslims. There's a difference, right? So we went to the community and we had formed the corporation, and then we had the four individuals sign their interest in the land over to the corporation, right? So by the time we got the $120,000 from the state for that acre and a half of land and small building, it went into our checking account as Masjid Omar bin Said Incorporated. Then about probably around 8 years later, we had some infighting in the masjid, and one contingent sued the masjid because we had bylaws and we wasn't going to turn nothing over to them. And we had another lawyer. This is a different lawyer now. He came and told us, you need to redo your bylaws because in this case, it's tricky. If you're wrong on one point in that lawsuit, if you're wrong on one point, your whole defense is destroyed. So he suggested because we had kicked the people out of the community. He suggested you let them back in, change the bylaws, get the bylaws straight, and we did that. And we said it, okay, well, y'all can be members again, whatever, whatever. And that lasted maybe about a year and a half. And they had crazy again. But our bylaws were straight on what we did. And we put in the bylaws that we're a community aligned with the leadership of Imam W. Muhammad, right? Our community would always be that. Whoever's the leader has to be a follower of Imam W. Muhammad, that kind of stuff. We weren't worried about a group of people that didn't follow Imam Muhammad to come in and take over the message. They tried, but they couldn't go through that one point, and they were not successful. And alhamdulillah, we still got the 4 acres of land, and we got a brand new mess. Well, it's 20 years old now, 25 years old now, but that was under there. And we haven't had any challenges since then.
Yeah, I
They
mean,
tried.
yes. I mean, I think that's a great example. Here in Charleston, there's a similar language in our bylaws as well about this community follows the leadership of Imam Worthy Muhammad. But now, every now and then you get these folks that they leave the masjid, come back, and they want to uh kind of take over
Hmm.
the procedurals of the masjid.
Hmm.
And the bylaws, right? How we have structured the bylaws now is that we have members and we have voting members.
Okay.
And there's criteria for members, there's criteria for voting members, and that's how we keep people from like taking over the shore board and etc. In order for you to be a member of the shore board, right? A sitting member, voting member of the shore board, you have to be a voting member of the masjid.
Good. Good.
That is how we have been able, so far, alhamdulillah, been able to keep things kind of at bay a little bit. But it's starting to rear its head again. One, because we recently had a brother to pass,
Hmm.
and he left the masjid some property, and that property now is going through probate. And I know as soon as that gets through probate, we're gonna have these people to show back up
Hmm.
and cause a lot of confusion again, right? So I'm thinking about how can we get ahead of that and protect whatever the masjid has. Because, these folks out here, they're looking for a payday. And however they can come across that payday, they're going to try and attempt everything that they can to walk away with something.
Hmm.
We had to it was a sister that the brother had as his executor, one of the executors of the estate, and she was holding off on signing over that responsibility. It and eventually, we had discussions about just paying the sister off, just giving her some money for her to just go away. Those kind of things because this, in Charleston, downtown Charleston, property goes. I mean, it can go for a lot, and fortunate for us, one of the properties is downtown Charleston.
Hmm.
And people see that and they want a piece of whatever is coming from that.
Hmm.
It can get dicey and it can get very challenging and frustrating when you have people that is driven by just being opportunist. And it can divide the masjid. It can really destroy the unity within a community. And I'm just trying to avoid that by getting ahead and putting some legal frameworks in place that helps to protect the masjid, not only when this come to fruition, but future kind of things that the masjid would get involved with that would protect the masjid long term.
Hmm.
It's frustrating.
I understand, brother. We definitely need to have some legal because it's law. I mean, regardless of what people think, we're in America. and the laws of the land is what they go by. You know, when we went to court, somebody was talking about the Quran and Sunnah, whatever. The judge said, "Look here, I don't know nothing about y'all. Handle that. I'm gonna handle my part," which is North Carolina law, right? So we can't be talking about Quran and Sunnah because they don't engage that. That's y'all fight inside. Y'all handle that, but I'm going on the law that's North Carolina has written and enforced. So now what they're gonna do? They're gonna cry Quran and Sunnah, and then someone say, "Hey, that's Sharia law in this environment." They're trying to enforce Sharia law. Look at them.
Well, I mean, I think it's just good that we as a community are waking up and starting to consider all these things and educating ourselves about the possibilities and the things that we can do to make sure that we stay as true as possible to what our beliefs are and the future that we want to build for ourselves. Instead of, the ostrich sticking your head in the ground thing.
Right.
And just as some, I was raised Christian, and the old thing back in Christianity, and it's probably still true today, is I'm just going to pray on it and the Lord will take care of it. No, and the next thing you know, you're packing your bags and they putting you out of your own house that you paid for and that your grandfather paid for because the Lord was going to take care of it when the Lord gave you a sound mind to be able to learn things, and act. And it's a positive to see us moving away from that. All I'm gonna do, I'm gonna make dua, and Allah's gonna take care of it. No, that's not the way it works. That's not Khalifa. So I'm just happy to see us doing these, moving in the direction of being action oriented and putting our faith into motion on a different front. We do it in a lot of ways. It's good to see it happening in this particular forum now. So it is 8 minutes after the hour, and I don't think Imam Talib he either is still going or he's had to lay down now because he's talked out. So Imam Tariq had a janaza today for a sister in his community.
Mm.
I don't know about, others' absences. They may have been on Study Al Islam. They may still be there. But unless there is something else pressing that we need to discuss this morning, I'm okay with us calling it a day. I mean, I'm open for any other questions or anybody else has anything they would like to add or discuss. We could do that. You got 15 seconds. Time up. Your time is up. So, Imam Omar, will you close us out this morning?
Yes, sir. Close us out. A'udhu billahi minash shaitanir rajim. Bismillahir rahmanir rahim. Alhamdulillahi rabbil alamin ar-rahmanir rahim. Maliki yawmiddin. Iyyaka na'budu wa iyyaka nasta'in. Ihdina siratal mustaqim. Siratal ladzina an'amta 'alaihim. Ghayril maghdubi alaihim waladdallin.
Mm.
Amen.
Yeah, yeah. Omar, you gonna
Yes, sir.
let me call you about a
Okay.
couple of minutes.
Okay.
Oh,
All
and
right.
All
for
right,
any
inshallah.
interested parties, I am going to open the mic tomorrow evening for collective conversations
Okay.
at 7 o'clock Central Time, 8 o'clock Eastern Time. Just a general discussion. I don't have a particular theme. There's all kinds of stuff going on in the world that we can talk about from an Islamic perspective and just from a human perspective. Anybody that wants to jump in, I'll throw some comments out there. I promise you, I got some ICE comments and different things like that. But uh, I'll send that link out sometime today for tomorrow. And anybody that wants to join in, welcome.
Sound- okay.
Hey,
Sounds good.
All right.
All right.
Assalamu
All right.
alaikum, everyone. Have a
That's-
great, wonderful evening.
Wa alaikum assalam.
wow, they consider that.